Welcome to Conversations and Translations. You're listening to me, Franklin Esau. This is where the conversations are real and the dive is deep. On our show today, we have a special guest, Karina Andersen, founder of SmilingOne and the responsible individual depth coaching methodology. Welcome, Karina.
Thank you, Franklin. I'm so excited to be here at the big launch.
Yes, we are ready to launch to kick off beautiful conversations. I would like to say that the topics that we will be translating are those close to our hearts. It gets us to think a bit about where we are in our lives as people, to move in the direction we want to, and to get us moving in our lives with positivity. So, welcome everybody, and welcome again, Karina.
Thank you, Franklin. And I look forward to our exploration today and also to speak about how it all started, the origin. So, Franklin, why don't you share with the listeners a little bit more about you? Who is Franklin?
Yes, I am Franklin Esau, Smiling One change agent and responsibility coach. I'm from South Africa, Cape Town. I grew up in Elsie's River Clark Estate. And as a young boy, I've walked a life journey of many lessons, some good and others not so good. And that landed me in prison at the age of 18, which I could say was the most painful time in my life. And yet it has brought me so much lessons. In 2009, in Brandflame Maximum Prison, I met you, Karina, and
Yes.
I fell in love with Smiling One's coaching program. And it is based on the manual, The Responsible Individual. Well, it wasn't love at first. I saw one of the coaches, and a lot of the inmates went to him for advice, sharing. And at first, I thought that this coach was a big dog that I did not know about or just didn't heard of him. But on the contrary, he was just a normal guy having love in a place like prison, and inmates could relate to him. Um, I spoke to him and he showed me the manual, which is 30% written and 70% empty. And I read it in a couple of minutes and I was like, this cannot be it, man. You mean this changed your life? This book, it was so simple. And at that stage, hard for me to grasp that something so simple could change your life. He invited me to the group session, and I witnessed the most magical moment in my prison journey. That hardened guys were actually talking about their feelings. Now, what made this significant was the fact that prison is not a place of feelings. In example, if your people would have passed away on the outside while you were in prison, you just spend some time staying quiet and not interacting with the guys. You swallow that emotions and locked it away somewhere. Ain't nobody got time to speak about their feelings. We all felt so liberated in that session and released from the things we've kept in for so long. And that was when I knew I wanted to do the Smiling One coaching program.
Sure. It's very touching, Franklin. I'm always, yeah, it means so much to me. Also, well, both to see you guys' journey, but also because the prison work actually facilitated my own prison break. There were so many areas in me that were still untouched, that, had yet not been addressed. They were unspoken. So this beautiful sharing space that we co-created, it became like medicine. And I deepened also my own ability to have really brutally honest conversations with myself. And one of those conversations was about anger. And most of the men in session, I know the inmates, they could relate because rage had cost them absolutely everything. So the prisons became this first platform where I took my coaching into in early 2008. And my book, as you were talking about it, The Responsible Individual, was still in writing and actually waiting to be co-authored by those that were going to journey with it, which is why there was still left a lot of space for each one to add their stories and their journey into it. And it was in those, the first 5 years in our prison program that our circles of change education came alive. It really showed me what are the important pillars when it comes to facilitating change. And there's three. And the first one is the sharing pillar. And that's also what we've been sharing a little bit about as we're starting our conversation here today. Hey, Franklin.
Yes, and please tell us more about you, Karina.
So I'm Karina. I'm the founder of SmilingOne, and I authored The Responsible Individual Depth Coaching Methodology. I see myself as a custodian of this concept, as I know that you do that as well, Franklin. It means a lot to me to channel it into the different environments, that the journey invites me into. I'm also the mother of two beautiful children, Daniel and Natalie. And we came to South Africa, Franklin, in 2006, at the end of 2006. And I was like catapulted into my South African adventure. And when I think about this last year of the global pandemic, 2006, 7, and 2020, 21 reminds me a lot, and it feels very similar. And it's like I arrived in South Africa with one plan, and I thought this is how it's going to turn out. But actually, nothing turned out the way I thought it would. I was like having this big disruption upon my arrival, and that became my starting point. And actually, prison was not part of my original agenda, but it was in this stretch of dealing with a different kind of arrival that I started to listen to my purpose. And I just feel really lucky as I sit here with you today. It's very easy to take a different turn in the road. I could have chosen to not go to prison, and SmilingOne would have been very different today, wouldn't have been what it is today. So for me, it's a moment of celebration, because a big part of the journey has really been the 14 years of incredible work of educating actually change agent inside out prison, and you're one of them, Franklin.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Karina. And that's a celebration for bringing it here to prison, your process. So thank you so much for that.
Well, actually, I'm celebrating you, and I'm celebrating everybody in the journey, because I couldn't have done. I mean, I threw one pebble in the pond. Hey, I mean, one little pebble, and I know that's an important pebble, but what you guys did with it's absolutely magnificent, and that's what touches me. So I'm thanking you. So maybe you can maybe you can share a little bit more how actually the coaching, the depth coaching through SmilingOne, how did that influence your life, Franklin?
Yeah, I think there were many lessons, but one of the biggest lessons that I will always value in our unique method of deep coaching is the ability and the skill to share myself with others, even share moments with self. It was such an easy thing for me to do in life, to ignore myself, my dreams, my goals, my vision that I had for myself. I used to hide from myself and never showed myself who I am, which led to a lot of doubt. I never showed up the real me. I ended up giving 40 to 50% in relationships. I felt less worthy because I was not true to myself. And in some major way, the real you and your life just slips away from you. I learned to deal with the emotions I've locked up and started to share. More importantly, share myself with others to the extent where sharing became a way for me to build understanding, to build relationships, to build on ideas and concepts. And I realized by sharing that I'm not alone. And to a simple factor, if we as people learn to share, we learn that we are not the only people going through challenges.
Yeah.
There is a lot of us that deals with similar challenges. A lot of us shares the same interests, have the same ideas. There is something as the collective togetherness that allows us to elevate ourselves and get unstuck on our journey of life, moving towards different heights.
Mm.
So, in that, what was your biggest lesson, Karina?
Sure. Again, I mean, definitely a lot of lessons. Yeah, when I think of the journey, it's been a really humbling journey, Franklin. To kind of also get myself out of the way. I had to face quite, a lot of my very strong patterns that prevented me from, yeah, fully showing up. I was such a loner and introverted, and I had completely disengaged from life and from my purpose. And it meant I was doing me, quite protective of me. So I was living in this, yeah, a little bit like a desert, when I think about it. So the biggest lesson for me has been to take the risk. And I think, also it's important, Franklin, because the way I journey with people and the way I journeyed inside prison, that I journey in corporate, and I mean, no matter where I journey, I am a student. So it means that I share my journey, I share my vulnerability, I share the difficulty I've had and my inability to take risks back then, and then the journey towards risk taking and to trust that I'm okay in the collective and co-create in that space. And, so as you know, we as coaches and change agents on the journey, we avail ourselves as students and we showcase our journeys. And it's that journey of finding back to who I really am. And for the people as well we journey with, to find back to who they truly are. And for me, once I took that risk, I really understood that I am not the disengaged Karina. I mean, that old version, that's not me. So I am Karina who burns for her purpose and who really honors it. And this is also, yeah, I think it's really revealed in how SmilingOne grew. And I always look at our growth in SmilingOne as all the circles of change that were activated. So it becomes like this circles of change engine, because everybody who journeys alongside us, they have their own COC, as circles of change, as COC. And if I look back in 2008, and in a few years, what was one prison spread like a wildfire, and suddenly we were in 8 prison. So just to paint the picture, just so also it kind of illustrates how the COC works in action, both in the lives of the inmates, but also in my life. So the guys in session back then, they were in their sharing practice. Remember, that's the first pillar in the circles of change. Now they wanted to bring the responsible individual of the program to other prisons when they were moved from the maximum prison to a medium prison. And they wanted to gift it to others, to be of service to others. And actually, that is the second pillar in our COC. And it's a natural evolution that once you've been gifted something that works in your journey, you want to share it with others, So by me then also going there and activating them as coach students, that is when their COC became fully activated with the third pillar I'm a resource. So they all started coach training as student coaches in COC education. But if I look at my own COC, and I mean, it was, of course, it was amazing to see the growth, but it was also important that my own growth was aligned, and it wasn't sustainable to be active in 8 prisons because I was doing it on a voluntary basis. So it was a great practice to of course learn and practice the tools as a resource, to practice the growth and the expansion. But part of my expansion was actually to close down a few of the prison process so I could make space for paid work. And the moment I did that, actually, knock, knock, on the door came SA Corporate, so corporate here in South Africa. And I enjoyed 8 amazing years on the corporate playing field with executives and their teams. And I was still, of course, doing my prison work. I was doing that in 3 prisons now. And then I was working with the corporates. And I was using TRI as a way to translate often complex thinking into simple and easy digestible concepts. And that's what one of the things I really love about TRI, the responsible individual, is its simplification. That what can appear complex, we can build that bridge and we can bridge the gap. So at the same time, so I was in 3 prisons, I was in corporate, and you, Franklin, and a lot of the other change agents, you reintegrated and you brought also the teachings and the responsible individual into your local communities, into your families, into school environments. And actually you are streaming out here today from Ravensmead, Ravensmead High School, which is one of the schools. And I love that you are actually, having the talk show from your life, where TRI lives every day and where you are adding more ripples into the environment. And I love that. And then in 2020, during the pandemic, we've brought our teachings online into our online Circles of Change Academy, which I find, it's incredibly exciting to again see that growth and that we can service a global audience, actually. And I'm writing my 2nd book as well, which is really exciting, about awakened leadership. So all the ripples, so the first pebble in the pond back in 2008, and look at what we have co-created, Franklin, in the most amazing way. Yay.
Yes, and to elaborate more on the simplification, if I can reflect back on the prison sessions and what made them so significant for me, we were a bunch of guys coming together. We were all going through stuff, deep challenges, issues and struggles residing in us. That kept us in a space of not moving forward. But in the sharings, in the circles of change and the sharing sessions, we moved forward, and moving forward, the Circles of Change Academy, I cannot grasp how simple it is to address self, to address the challenges you have that you sit with, the issues that disturbs you, dissates you. Something for me was just a great wow about that. Because while the concepts or subjects on dealing with self, sometimes it is so complex, and sometimes the jargons, I sometimes struggle with that. And Circles of Change Academy, putting myself in there, I think that the simplicity, it gave me food that was easy to digest,
I love that. Yay. I mean, that's lovely. Hey, so easy digestible food. And I also love that how you bought into it, because I know in the very beginning, right, when you saw the menu for the first time, it was like, wow, really, can this be it? And once we realized that it is not rocket science, it's quite profound that it's, we are quite complex and our patterns are quite complex. So simplicity is our signature style. And it also for me, I'm not a South African. Well, by heart, of course. By heart, I'm South African. I'm sure the listeners like, whoa, but where are you from? So I'm originally from Denmark. So English is not my primary language. And I think that's been helpful in honoring to build really simple concepts and that are sticky, that are fun, that are easy to hook into. And simplicity and humor is kind of big thing about what we do. And also what I appreciate about this talk show and about the launch and that you are now taking this, this talk show into the world, a place to translate and help people to take what is complex, bridge the gap. So that also, because when we understand, we can begin to embrace ourselves better and each other. Because not only do many disengage from self and their purpose, but in that disengagement with those around them, sometimes we end up at living at war with each other, and that's a concern for me.
Yes, and the talk show, Conversations and Translations, is a method for us to have upgraded conversation, Conversations 2.0.
Yes.
I take my cue from a song that I heard a while back. It says that I speak of things that you only speak about inside of your living room. And sometimes there's things that we can move out of our living room and start shedding light on that. And I want to bring light to the conversations, and I want to bring the conversation to light that we have spelled on that are relevant to changing our lives, to changing our approach, and just to find new strategies and guide each other in conversation. If we can understand one another, we are people who really thrive in unity, in Ubuntu, in that togetherness. This is what Conversations and Translations want to achieve by having this talk show.
I love that, Franklin. I really love that. Ubuntu. I can't wait. Can't wait.
And please stay tuned, Karina. Yeah, surely you will follow us. Do you have a last invitation for our listeners, Karina?
Absolutely. Yeah, actually, I mean, we have quite a few invitations via the Circles of Change Academy to step onto our enabling platform. So we offer a wide range of inspirational snacks that you can see daily via Facebook. We also sometimes send out a newsletter with a little bit of inspiration. Then there's this weekly talk show, which I'm really, really excited about. We have our webinars, 5 Steps to Breakthrough. And of course, there's also a handful of our transformational programs within the Awakened Leadership Path. So there's this huge buffet that is free for you to kind of like snack on. Of course, I mean, some of them are free and others are paid programs. But the starting point is you, dear listener. And that's really the most important invitation, is inside of you, right in your heart. Because, when you get stuck and when things don't work out, and then, don't do what I did, like hide and disengage. So the invitation is to reach out for a helping hand, because real transformation really happens when we step into these collaborative spaces. We all need support, right, Franklin? We all need support. And magic takes place when we begin to co-create. And another thing, Franklin. So I'm running we are running a special competition this month.
Could you tell us a bit more about the competition, though?
Yeah, so our aim is, of course, to bring more of our inspiration to more people and gift them with this enabling platform. Also, our team of coaches, so Franklin is one of them, myself, and of course, you get access to many more over time. And of course, our amazing toolkit. So over the next couple of months, there's a lot of amazing prizes up for grabs. And I know, Franklin, that your guest on the talk show will also add some of them into the lucky draw. So this is how you get into the lucky draw. So if you invite people into our Awakened Leadership community, and you help us grow this community so that more and more people can benefit, you will get, for every 20 people you have invited, you get your name one time in the lucky draw. So if you invite 100 people, you get your name 5 times into the lucky draw. Now, in order to win the grand prize, we're also going to look at that the people you invited, that they also joined. So the one that takes the lead over the next month, from today up until I think the 7th of July, you will be the lucky winner of a seat on our next boot camp, which is our Reclaim Your Power boot camp. Is a 28-day online program where you really get the opportunity to take charge of your life and get back into the driver's seat. You can read about it on our Facebook pages, but I just want to say that the value is 10,000 Rand plus that, and it's for an exclusive small group. We only add 11 people into the group to journey together at a time. So it's a really, really special prize. So that's what I brought today for your talk show, Franklin.
Thank you so much, Karina, and thank you again for joining us. I'm sure that the listeners would love that competition, and for sharing and being here with us today. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
And you are listening to Conversations and Translations. This is where the conversation is real and the dive is deep. Tune in next time with more special guests that are still to come. See you.